In this video, we're going to talk about 9 characteristics of life that we're going to spend time kind of big ideas covering this year in biology. And the first, all life is composed of these things on this screen, which are cells. So all life is made of one or more cells. So there's really 2 types of cells we're going to study in biology. These small cells that you can see here that don't have any internal membranes or nuclei or anything, those are called prokaryotic cells, and they lack a nucleus, and they also lack other membrane-bound structures. This big cell next to it, relatively big, maybe 10 microns in size as opposed to 1 micron, that's a eukaryotic cell. So eukaryotic cells have a nucleus, they have other membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria, and they have endoplasmic reticulum and so forth. They're larger, they're more complex, and animals tend to have eukaryotic cells. Plants, fungi have eukaryotic cells. Bacteria are really the only living things that are prokaryotic. The next characteristic of life is homeostasis. So home means the same. Stasis is like condition. So keeping the internal environment the same in living things is really important. So maintaining relatively constant internal conditions is what we talk about when we talk about homeostasis. And we're going to talk about that a lot this year. And we're going to talk about a lot of feedback systems that keep living things within this homeostatic balance. What are some examples of that? Well, when you eat a big meal, your blood sugar goes up. As your blood sugar goes up, that can be very dangerous, hyperglycemia. So your pancreas, sensing high blood, produces insulin. That insulin goes to your liver, muscle cells, and other cells, and those cells take the sugar out of your blood to lower the blood sugar, to keep it between 90 and 100 milligrams in that homeostatic balance. When your blood sugar gets low, your pancreas produces another compound called glucagon, and that causes the liver, muscle cells to metabolize and release that glucose into the blood and keep your blood levels high. Other examples, temperature. We need to maintain our body right around 98.6 degrees. So when it's really hot, we sweat to cool our bodies. When it's cold, we shiver. We do things to generate body heat, and that maintains that homeostatic regulation of body temperature. Rabbits have ears that are covered in fur, so they're not really good at maintaining sweating to stay cool, but they can pump that blood through their ears to keep their bodies cool. All living things show levels of organization, right? So when we talked about it, we said the basic unit of life is the cell, but cells are made up of organelles. Organelles are made up of molecules, and molecules are made up of atoms. So we really want to start with the organization of matter, right? The basic unit of matter is the atom. Atoms combine to form molecules. We'll talk about that in our biochemistry unit. Molecules interact together to form organelles. So this is a molecule of chlorophyll. It's found in a plant organelle called a chloroplast. Those chloroplasts are found in plant cells called mesophyll cells, which are the photosynthetic cells in plants. And then cells that are the same structure and have the same function form tissues. So there's a plant tissue layer, the mesophyll layer of the plant leaf, and then the organ is the actual leaf, so organs, and then all of the organs working together make up an organ system. If we look at animals, right, we have some cells here lining your intestines, right, intestinal cells. They make up a epithelial tissue layer, so that's the tissue. That combined with capillaries and combined with smooth muscle outside of that to contract and move food through your intestines makes up an organ. So we have those tissue layers combined to form an organ. Your small intestine combined with your large intestine, stomach, mouth, and esophagus, and rectum make up your digestive system, right? And then digestive system combined with your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, all the other systems in your body make up your complete organism. Okay. Obtaining and using energy. This is another important characteristic of life, right? So we're going to talk about 2 ways to get energy. Cell respiration, so animals, fungi, even plants use cell respiration, and then producers, those things that make their own energy, use photosynthesis, right? Plants are producers, they're the main producers, right? So here's a good example of some producers capturing sun energy. Here is a consumer getting some energy from a host. We call that a parasite, and what it's getting energy from is a host, parasite, host. We have a leopard here getting energy from a prey. Not sure what that is, but it's a predator-prey relationship. Right? We have a koala. They're herbivores. They get their energy from plant material. So all those things are obtaining and using energy. Evolving and evolution. Our first unit after this introductory unit is going to be about evolution, and we know that all species and all populations evolve. Okay, the process whereby they change through differential selection of individuals is called natural selection. So the process that produces change within populations and species is evolution. All species and populations evolve. Individuals do not evolve. They either survive and reproduce, or they don't survive and pass on their genes. But through that differential survival, which is natural selection, evolution occurs. Next characteristic of life, all things respond to stimuli, right? So if you ever touched a hot pan or a sharp object, you pull back immediately, you respond to that stimuli. Sometimes positively, sometimes negatively, right? So response to stimuli. Plants also respond. So here's a Venus flytrap. When that insect lands in it, it has little touch receptors that sense something on it, and it closes and captures it and digests it and uses its nitrogen, right? But we also see plants responding to things in the environment like limited sunlight. As the days get shorter, plants sense that winter is coming due to the shorter photoperiod, and they stop producing chlorophyll. So plants and animals respond to stimuli. All living things are also made up of complex organic molecules, right? So we're going to study it in biochemistry, 4 of those important molecules, right? So DNA, the genetic material within all living things, right? Proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids. A common phrase for lipids is fats. These are the important biomolecules that we're going to be studying in biology. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and DNA, or nucleic acids. And all living things have to reproduce, right? So there's 2 ways to reproduce. Plants, animals, and most fungi are sexual. 2 individuals combine their sex cells to produce a genetically unique individual. In the bottom left-hand corner, that's a bacteria. Now, that's not 2 bacteria reproducing. That's 1 bacteria that's reproducing asexually, right? So 2 types of reproduction. Sexual, 2 individuals combining sex cells, or asexual. And we're going to be talking about asexual and sexual reproduction as well. There we go. And living things also grow and develop. So you know what growing means, right? Growing means that they get bigger. They increase in size, increase in mass, right? So you start off as a maybe 7-8 pound baby when you're born, and you're now 120 pounds. Maybe you'll end up 150 pounds, right? You're increasing in mass. Development is slightly different, right? Development is the changes that occur as one grows. So if you look at the picture of the newborn, you'll see that it's about 4 heads tall when it's born, right? Our head is about 1/9 of our entire body size, right? So as we grow, we don't just continue to get bigger and bigger equally, right? We develop different characteristics. So we develop sex characteristics, breasts, pubic hair, right? Underarm hair. Our voices in males get deeper, and so forth. So those changes that occur during puberty are developmental changes. We can also see over here a chimpanzee and a human fetal skull is about the same. It looks very similar, but as they develop, the chimpanzee develops a very large, strong, powerful jaw with very large teeth that really work as a really effective weapon when they're fighting, right? Humans, we have a very relatively weak, small jaw, but we have developed a really large brain. So the changes that occur in our development focus on getting a large brain that can do a lot of complex thinking, whereas the chimpanzee is more about a strong jaw. And so those are developmental changes that occur through the life. So these are all sort of big ideas, characteristics of life that we see in all things, plants, animals, bacteria, and we're going to be discussing them throughout the year. So thanks a lot.